Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be covering a project analysis on Pinery Residences. So this is quite sought after. I think most of people are looking at it because of a couple of reasons, a couple of attributes that people are looking at. One, it's near the MRT station. Two, it's also within 1 km of St.Hildas Pinery. And three, in terms of looking at connectivity and accessibility, is quite there as well. And fourth, the last point would be that it's an integrated development. For today's video, how I would structure it, it would be more of looking at what are the risks of buying into Pinery, and those will come in 3 different angles. So 1, looking at the pricing strategy that the developer will be implementing. 2, well knowing that there is Rivelle Tampines coming up and that's an EC, how do we look at exit strategies? Thirdly, when we look at mixed developments, what are the risks to look out for? At the same time, we will go into case studies of how mixed developments in the area or separate from the area have been doing and why they have been performing as such. Of course, I'll cover the floor plans as well, but very briefly, I think the main bulk of the video will really be talking about more of the risks coming into Pinery and how do you mitigate the risks and what outcome can be most ideal for you coming into Pinery. So let's get started. I'll start with the location and the fact sheet as well first, a little bit on the site plan before I go into the 3 points that I just mentioned earlier. And then after that, I'll summarize with a couple of pitfalls that we might want to look out for and I'll cover throughout the whole video. So Pinery is situated right at Tampines West MRT. There is a huge bulk of BTOs that are building or already been built along the Bedok Reservoir Road. In this case, what we are also kind of gunning towards, just like Parktown Residences, is that the number of residents over there looking at their MOP will eventually want to upgrade to a location that they're very used to, and that would be either Pinery or Rivelle at Tampines. Looking at the plot of land, there are a couple of good attributes. It's near SAFRA, it's right at the MRT station, it's integrated as well. You also have some form of heartland markets, you also have St.Hildas Primary and Secondary School within 1 km. And of course, there's some tertiary education over here. And at the same time, there's some form of nature where you can do your running and all that. From the point of view where a potential owner will want to stay there, I think it has everything that people might need in terms of connectivity, accessibility, some form of nature, some form of shopping, some form of heartland areas where you can still look for a hawker center, for example. And yet there's also a good school. So from a family profile point of view, it does make quite a bit of sense. This is a quick view of how the facilities will look like. There will be a mall at the bottom and then the units on top. And then these are the facilities within the development. It's a total of 588 units, so it's a slightly smaller scale than Parktown if you have been looking at Parktown previously. And there is going to be a supermarket, F&B, there's going to be an early childhood development center as well, that means your preschool. Total, there's 6 blocks of 14-story residential. I would think this would be akin to your Woodley Residences. In terms of the size, in terms of size of a mall as well, I think it's relatively similar. So here's the site plan. The blocks are nicely spread together. I think in terms of the use of land, the developer has planned it out in such a way that there still are facilities, but at the same time maximizing the number of units in that development. So here what we will also see is that there's going to be HDBs around here as well. And then here I think there will be a little pocket view of Bedok Reservoir. And other than that, within the internal view would be more of a pool view. So in this case, what you want to notice here is that for the external view, you get some form of road noise. There is going to be HDBs here, and there's going to be HDB here, and also road and road. In a sense, on a preliminary angle, for the internal view facing ones might be slightly better in terms of looking at privacy. And these are the distances to each block. I think if I were to compare with Rivelle at Tampines, it's going to be quite similar. So the block-to-block distance, of course, the further is the better. 26 meters is really quite close. So it really depends on what unit type you're looking at. And based on that, you choose the stack that you want. At the same time, after I cover the developer price strategies, you'll get a little bit more clarity on which exact one you want to choose. If you're still unclear at that point, you can also reach out to me. Based on the unit type that you want and the budget that you have, I can easily point out to you exactly what stack to look out for. So this is the site layout of the mall. generally speaking, what you see downstairs, you see some retail shops. F&B are all across over on this side. There's also going to be a community plaza with some F&B options as well, and then food court and supermarket. So from a mall point of view, in terms of convenience and accessibility, I think the residents of Pinery Residences will be able to enjoy quite a bit of convenience downstairs with food court, supermarket. Essentially, what you need on a day-to-day basis will just be downstairs. In terms of access, there are a couple of access points. From a couple of blocks over here, you can get access directly to the retail shops. There's also a clubhouse lift lobby where your visitors can come in through from. And also at the same time, in terms of walking, there is going to be the ground floor access from the HDB flats over here and over on this side as well. So from this point of view here, there's also a 24-hour link that people can walk through. So from the MRT station over here, they can just walk through all the way to your HDB blocks over here. So in terms of the noise level, I think from the external view facing ones, you will be exposed to a little bit more noise and traffic over on this side, over on this side, and over on this side. So generally speaking, the internal facing ones might be better, but of course we want to look at how the developer has priced the units so that we know exactly which one will be more value for you when it comes to investment, and that will also translate to the amount of profits that you get in future. So unit mix, there's 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, and 12 units of the 5 bedrooms. I think generally speaking, what we want to take note of is comparing the entry price of the 3 bedrooms, the 4 bedrooms, and the 5 bedrooms with Rivelle at Tampines, because when we talk about the EC over there, in terms of entry price, is definitely going to be lower than what you enter into at Pinery. So later we'll take a look at some comparisons over here. This is where I'll cover the bulk of the video on the developer price strategies, your exit in terms of timing, and at the same time with mixed developments, what you want to look out for. These are the 3 main strategies which I've covered in my previous video for Rivelle Modern. If you have not seen that video, I will cover the full view of it over here. So with developer pricing strategies, what they normally do is they will put a premium on a certain segment. By understanding these strategies, you will be able to see what the developer is doing at that point of time and also determine the right price point to buy into. For example, a couple of things that you might already have been aware of is on a per floor jump, definitely there's a bit of loading. Your difference between your low floor unit versus a high floor unit, what is the percentage? And on a per floor jump basis, is there a consistent one? So for example, from your 4th, 5th, 6th, there is a 0.5%. Does it jump 2% over on this side because of a view or something? And then consistently another 0.5%, for example. So knowing the developer for Pinery, what they normally do for projects like Continuum and Key Residences, they normally have a premium jump for a certain level. So for Continuum, their 3rd to 4th floor has an additional 2% jump, if I'm not wrong, 2 to 3% jump, which is quite significant, but it's not so much of any view difference that they're looking at for Continuum especially. So it's very important for Pinery Residences to be able to see what's the difference between the different levels so that you know which one to go for. The next strategy is the unit type strategy. If you see the projects in the city area this couple of months, you see that for larger bedroom type, the PSF is actually higher. For smaller bedroom type, the PSF is actually lower. So for Rivelle Modern, once they roll out indicative prices, you see that as the bedroom type gets bigger, the PSF gets larger. But this is not always the case. Normally for bigger bedroom types, the PSF is slightly lower because of the quantum, and then smaller bedroom types, the PSF is normally higher. So I think looking at an OCR project like this, we will expect that the PSF for the larger bedroom types will be lower. So why this is important for you to know is that when the indicative prices come out, you will roughly see based on the bedroom types, what's the PSF like. For example, if let's say the 2 bedroom is at 2.4 PSF, and then the 3 bedroom, 2.3 PSF. Likely for this developer, for Pinery, they will be doing this instead of looking at the other way around. So based on this knowledge, we will also get to understand a little bit more about how to observe the prices for Pinery, and then you decide what price point to go into. So later I'll cover a little bit more specific to Pinery. Lastly, this is the view or the facing premium strategy. So if we look at the site plan, we realize that all the external facing ones will definitely face some form of HDB facing, and the internal facing ones will be facing the pool or your neighbor across. So looking at this and how the developer has structured it, my guess would be they will definitely load some premium on the internal facing because it's going to be quieter. There's going to be more privacy where people from the HDB side will not be able to look into your unit, but internal facing ones, your unit will be faced by other neighbors as well. But if you're in a good distance, then I think it's fine. So then the question is, how much more percentage premium should you be paying for a better facing? So I think that's important. Understanding all these 3 strategies will help you to be able to, at the point of booking, be able to discern exactly which you need to go for. I will share a little bit more of what I would guess the developer for Pinery will do, and then maybe you can get a bit more clarity on what to look out for, especially on the booking day. Because there are some people who will get a very good queue number but make the wrong decision, or those who have bad queue number, they may not have available units to choose from, and then they still also make a bad decision because they are emotional about it. So I think in this case, it's very important for you to look at it from a point of view where we have transparency of all the prices, and you will be able to discern exactly what strategy the developer is using, and then also look at what is the best entry price for you. I cover a little bit about each strategy. So for example, if you look at Rivelle Green and Zion Grand, Rivelle Green is 36 floors and Zion Grand is 62 floors. So in this case, on a per floor jump basis for Rivelle Green, they have put about 1% per floor jump. When you hit the 36th floor, you realize that actually the percentage between a second floor and the 36th floor is actually 28%. But Zion Grand is almost double the floor level, second to 62 floors, but the PSF gap is only a total of 21%. So in this case, the hypothesis is that for Zion Grand, actually for higher floors is quite worth the buck as well, because your per floor jump is actually not that significant. From a developer point of view, what I want to look at is also to see that actually from this kind of per square foot for a 2-bedroom, it's still going to be affordable for people to want to enter. So I need to make it attractive. In this case, you see that for Rivelle Green, the remaining units, they're all kind of stuck at 33rd floor onwards. Because of the PSF is high already, so the units there are not moving as quickly. Just now, I explained a little bit on the unit type. So for Zion Grand, the PSF for the smaller units, 3,002 here. The PSF for the bigger units on the same floor is actually higher. So we see this for Rivelle Modern as well. Rivelle Modern is also doing the same thing. Their 2-bedrooms start from 2,887 PSF. Their 3-bed premium is going to be 3,087 PSF, and their 4-bed going at about 3,1 PSF. But for Pinery, I think it will be the other way around. I'll cover a little bit on that later. So load on facing and view. So this is Lentor Modern, 2 exact same size units on the same floor, but one is facing landed and one is facing Hillock Green. The buyer of this unit actually bought the exact same time, but the purchase price is 11% more. So the person buying the landed view facing actually paid about 174k more for this unit that's of the same size, just landed view facing. So we want to understand how much is worthwhile, and more importantly, especially on the booking day, you need to be able to see what's the prices for different facing, which one will be a better entry price for you. So as a rule of thumb, 11% it's definitely on the higher side. If you're buying a 2-bedroom especially and you're paying about 174k more, it will definitely affect your profits, because the general profit that you can get for a 2-bedroom, if it's in a very good location and it performs well, it's about 400,000+. So in this case, if let's say this owner were to be able to sell at 400k profit, in this case, this person would definitely only sell at 220k. So for a 2-bedroom, this kind of profit is actually very significant. The general rule of thumb is we want to see for the unit type that you're buying into, the premium difference between the internal and the external facing. Generally speaking, 3 to 5% premium jump should be quite reasonable for internal facing views, especially when you're coming to integrated development, where there's going to be more traffic, a little bit more noise. I will touch on that in just a while. A conclusion from an investment point of view, if the per floor jump is significantly high, then go for the lower floors or up to the mid floors. If the bigger the unit type, the higher the PSF, for example like Rivelle Modern, right? In terms of looking at 3-bedrooms, it will definitely give you more value. If there's going to be a lot of premium loading on good views, that means for Pinery, is the internal facing views is going to be a lot more premium, then go for the non-good view facing. But of course, for Pinery, in that sense, you want to be able to look for something that has a larger distance to your HDB flats. So coming to this, how do we identify the best unit for you coming into Pinery? It's extremely critical for you to not be overpaying for the unit. So how do we identify the sweet spot, right? We want to understand what is your best USP for coming to Pinery from your future buyer point of view, whether you're HDB upgraders or people coming into Tampines who want to live here. And at the same time, for you coming in as a first owner, you want to be able to come in at the cheapest entry price, but at the same time, easy to let go in the future. I think that's what most buyers would want. And I'm always coming from a point of view of an investment, and you want to make the best out of your profits, because right now, the barrier to entry of owning a property is not that low anymore. You have stamp duties to take care of. Interest rates are low right now, but there's still some costs that you need to consider. Here we are understanding what's the sweet spot for you, and hopefully that will help you gain some clarity on your booking date. Okay, so for Pinery, what is the main USP, right? We want to answer that question first before we go into looking at what is the best facing or the best entry price. People who want to live in integrated development, they really enjoy the convenience of having a mixed-use development downstairs. That means essentially when I go downstairs to the basement, I will be able to access my F&B, my supermarket, and I can get back up in 10 minutes, for example. Also quite a good draw, there is going to be a good school nearby. And at the same time, you know that for BTO supply in the area is quite a lot, so there is going to be a really pool of upgraders in future. So when we talk about convenience of having a mixed-use development, when people come into a mixed-use development, they want to have the convenience of living there. For Pinery, right, knowing the past history of how Hoi Hub and Sunway has priced their units, I would predict that the inside-facing ones will likely have quite a bit of premium. So you have to watch carefully how much for pool-facing and HDB-facing. The general rule of thumb, if it's about 3 to 5% premium for internal-facing, I would take the internal-facing one. And there's a good chance for the per-floor jump is going to be high on certain levels. So for example, like I mentioned just now, they may do a 0.5 here, a 0.5 here, and then they may jump a 2 here, and then 0.5 again. So we need to be able to identify all this, what we call premium jumps. So for example, if this happens, then you take level 7, for example. Combined with that, I think for here, when we look at the PSF, the bigger units will have a higher PSF. So I wouldn't be too concerned about this. I would be more concerned about how much loading they will be putting on the inside-facing ones and also the per-floor jump strategy. So if this is still a bit unclear for you, you can also reach out to me and let me know the exact unit type that you're looking at and the exact facing that you ideally want, and I can compare with you in terms of price point, what would be the most ideal. So next, the second point that I want to talk about is exit strategy. We are well aware that Rivelle and EC is launching at about the same time, and we need to be very careful of the exit price points and also the timeline. So today, if let's say I am a buyer of the EC, I buy at 1,007, 1,008 per square foot, and I want to sell eventually at 2003 to 2004. If I come into Pinery at 2003 to 2004, I want to be able to exit at about 2007. But when can I exit, right? For Rivelle EC, I can only sell at 2035. For Pinery, I can potentially exit in 2030 to 2035. So in this case, what I want to cover on this point is that if you're buying into a layout that is very, very similar to Rivelle, and for potential buyers who want to be able to enter into a private market in future, as an owner of Pinery, I want to be able to exit before Rivelle MOPs. And I think that's very critical because once you have units in Rivelle that is going to be in the market, then these units over here will definitely face a lot of competition because in terms of entry price, I may be cheaper. My only draw is that it's integrated. So for 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, if you have a layout that is very, very similar to what the EC is offering you, then from an exit point of view, it's best to exit before 2035. So whether you're buying for own stay or you're buying for investment in terms of exit, I think it's very important. If you're buying for own stay, it's really purely like a short-term stay for you if you want to be able to exit and be able to secure good demand from there. Then the third point is we want to look at mixed developments and how they perform over certain areas. Between a private and a mixed development, there's definitely a premium. For example, Watertown, which is right above Punggol Waterway Point, and Treasure Trove. Watertown is mixed development and Treasure Trove is private. There's always that gap. So people are willing to pay a little bit more for mixed developments to be able to get the convenience downstairs. At the same time, the entry price when they enter is definitely on the higher side as well. For Woodley Residences, mixed development, Park Colonia, non-mixed development, but just opposite, there's also a 6% gap over here. Because the entry price when they enter into, which is way back over on this side, the entry price for Woodley Residences would definitely be higher because you're paying for integrated. So coming into Tampines, you know that definitely there will be a bit of a premium. Coming into Pinery, you yourself as a resident, you will be able to enjoy the facilities and convenience downstairs. Your future buyers will be definitely drawn to the convenience downstairs as well. But when we look at mixed developments, you want to be very careful of the overall supply in the area. For example, if we look at Sengkang Grand versus Woodley Residences, there are only a couple of MRT stops apart, but you see the difference in terms of profit. The size of the mall matters as well. Woodley Residences, generally speaking, you see that the profit for normal 3 bedrooms are about 500 to 600 on average. But for Sengkang Grand Residences, for 3 bedrooms as well, their profits are definitely lower. Some of them only 200 plus, up to the max of 400 plus. So it didn't even hit like 500 plus, 600. So why is this the case, and how would you determine whether Pinery, for example, versus Parktown will be able to do well? It really comes down to the supply in the area, what are the options that people can go into, and at the same time, your entry price going in. That's why I keep emphasizing on the entry price that you buy into. If you buy into a higher PSF, whether it's a high floor or not, whether it's internal facing or not, the premium that you're paying is not going to be very high to the point that your competitors within the development would have paid, for example, 500 PSF lower than you and will be able to afford to let go at the price that you enter into, making your exit even harder. When it comes to looking at property and looking at mixed developments, we want to see that there are proper traits that people are drawn into. The supply of the area, there's not going to be a lot of competition, and at the same time, the entry price that you enter is the most important. The second point that I mentioned was supply of the developments is important. If you look at Seaside Residences, we see that there are not many D15 new developments that we can compare to. For Seaside Residences, you see that the profits can go up to 1.3 million for a 4-bedroom. Why they're doing so well is because there is no other competing options for people to look at, and that's why until today, Seaside Residences has performed very well. Jadescape at Bishan, also not a lot of competition around the area. If I look at bigger units, I don't see that there are good options in the area. Either they're too old or they are in a small development. So you see Jadescape, some of them have made like 3-4 million profits as well for bigger units. Coming into Pinery, you want to be very careful of what's the overall demand that's going to come into your area, which I think will be quite strong. But at the same time, in terms of supply, you are competing with Rivelle, the EC, and you need to hopefully be able to exit before the MOP, because once the units fly in the market, they can definitely sell lower than you because their entry price is low. So before I continue, if you're liking this content and you're really appreciative of my insights, you can also follow me on Telegram. I would love to build this subscriber channel, and I will be able to give you more insights and also share with you my videos coming up. Thank you. So for unit type analysis, I'll be covering based on these 3 estimates. So for low floor, 2002 per square foot. Of course, it really depends on the internal facing or the external facing. But I think the lower floor ones for external facing may be lower than this a little bit, but on average will be something like that. On average, the units will go at about 2005 per square foot on a higher floor at 2008 per square foot. For the floor plans, I'll cover very briefly. The more important thing is really the first part of the video where I share the strategies, what you want to look out for, the risks, and how to mitigate them. And for the floor plans, I'll give you the floor plans and also the range of the prices to look at. You will also see that for the floor plans and the range of the prices, the range might overlap with the next unit type from the 3 bedrooms to the 4 bedrooms. So it's very important where you know when to cut off and when you potentially look at something else. For example, maybe your 3 bedroom left high floor internal view facing at 2006, 2007 per square foot. You may want to consider looking at a low floor 4 bedroom. It really depends on the stack that you're comfortable with and the price point as well. If you want, in terms of price point and the facing down to the specific stack and layout that you want, you can also reach out to me. I can definitely give you some insights on what I think the prices will be like. Starting from 2 bedroom, there is 2 bed 2 bath layouts, and they're ranging from about 1.372 to 1.778. Both comes with open concept kitchen, and then this is more like a conventional layout where you got 2 bedrooms on this side and then also the dumbbell concept. So for 2 bedrooms, I was looking at Sengkang Grand. It's also integrated development. In this case, Sengkang Grand is kind of northeast and Tampines is on the east side. The rental demand for Tampines will likely be a bit stronger because you have people from the Changi Airport side, people from the business parks in Changi. Looking at it coming from a rental point of view, I think from 2 bedrooms, if you're looking at investment, anything below 1.58 is still not too bad value because you see Sengkang Grand already transacting almost 1.5. They also have another normal 2 bedroom, which is open concept kitchen, and then the 2 bedrooms on this side that wastes a little bit of corridor space. But I think between this one and the dumbbell concept one, I think I would choose the dumbbell concept one. There's also 700 square feet, which you will see at the show flat. It's going to come with a study here where you can use it as a proper study. This one you can potentially also rent out to 2 different tenants, and then they can share the kitchen. 3-bedroom compact, I think my top pick in terms of looking at functionality and looking at future buyers wanting to come in to feel like they can live in the area is this one. So you got proper dining area, you got living balcony, you got a tuck-in kitchen with window, toilets here also have windows, and then 3 bedrooms. So from a family profile point of view, and I've done a video like that, looking at how important the layout is for you as an investor, looking at exiting for people who want to buy for own stay, this is important as well. And then the other top pick would be for the 8721. They also have a 3-bedroom with home shelter, but this is one of the examples that I would compare with Rivelle's 883 square feet. So this one comes with also the home shelter. It has a small yard kitchen, dedicated dining area, living and 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms in this case. So today, if let's say I come into Pinery, I buy at 2004 per square foot at almost 2.4 million. I want to be able to sell at 2007, which is 2.6 million. Rivelle here enter at a high at 1.766 million. I want to sell at 2003 per square foot. This would put my selling price at about 2. So in this case, this is a 600k gap. So this is where I say that exit strategy is important. If you want to buy into 990 square feet, ideally you want to be able to exit before Rivelle can start selling in 2035. From an exit strategy point of view, it's very clear that this is the point that you need to exit before they come on the market, because from a HDB upgrader point of view, I can get almost the same layout at 600k cheaper. There's also another 3-bedroom plus home shelter. This is going to range from 2.25 to 2.86. I think this is also quite a functional layout for people coming from HDB. They know that, okay, I have a home shelter, I have a proper kitchen, I have 3 bedrooms to live for my family. This is going to be quite a popular layout in my opinion. So this one up to 2.9 million, I think it's coming in at about 2.6 million onwards. They have an additional study over here where you can hack down the wall. You can make it a study. If not, you can make it a very big master bedroom, because this can be your additional working wardrobe space. So for people who would appreciate something like that, a proper study or also a bigger master, then this layout will be good. But to pay up to almost $3 million, I think is going to be a little bit risky from exit point of view. At the same time, what I mentioned just now, your 3-bedroom plus home shelter plus study will definitely cut into the 4-bedroom layout in terms of the pricing. So we want to look at it from a point of view where you would be open to other options as well before zooming in and narrowing down on only one option. So the 4-bedroom plus store, I think is quite a decent layout. There's a store, proper kitchen, dedicated dining area, and 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. The 1195 comes with additional study as well. So here you can make it into a landscape living dining area. Between 1141 and 1195, definitely it will make a lot of difference looking at a 1195, because this is slightly narrower. Future buyer, when they come into the unit, they want to be able to see that there is actually quite a good space for living, but this one will be slightly tighter as well. And you cannot hack down this wall. 4-bedroom home shelter plus study, this is going to range from 2.7 to 3.4 million. If you can enter it at the lower end of the entry price, it's definitely safer, because this is ultimately still a 4-bedroom. And for people who have 2 to 3 children, they will definitely appreciate this layout a little bit more, but you will have to go for the smaller ones, because the 1389 in terms of living space is not going to be much of a difference, but you'll be paying up to 3.3 to 3.4 million. Lastly, we come to the 5 bedrooms. It's 1475 square feet. This one comes with a dry kitchen over here, larger and wider living area, and then 5 bedrooms on this side. You can potentially hack down this part to make it a bigger living dining area, and also you get a junior master over here. So you get 3 toilets in that sense. This one coming in at 3 to 3.8 million. If you have a 3 million budget, a 5-bedroom at Tampines integrated, I think quite a good option to look at. And it's really purely for own stay, I think it's fine. For Rivelle EC, I think there isn't a size like that, so you're definitely a little bit more unique in that sense. But when we talk about affordability gap, we want to know that the HDB upgraders coming from Tampines, they will be able to come and buy your unit over here depending on what your entry price is and what's your expectation on the profit. So for Tampines 4-room flat, the purchase price is about 450, and if I conservatively want to sell at 900, I will have an estimate profits of about 630. If I buy Pinery at 2.3, a proper 990 square feet 3-bedroom, I want to exit at 400k profit. The upgrader will need to top up about 150k. It might be a little bit tough, so you might need to manage your expectations on the profit over here. But of course, if you can get something at the lower end, then this one will definitely be not a problem. But what if it's a 5-room HDB? So the clusters around the Pinery side, there are 5-room HDBs as well. Then the purchase price is about 560k for a 10-floor unit. Let's say I were to exit at 1.12 million. The estimated proceeds will be able to easily help me cover without much of a top-up. So in this case, for the same amount of price, you will be hopefully catering to sell it at this price to a 5-room HDB upgrader just beside you. So I hope this is clear. I'll conclude with some pointers. So one, we need to understand what is a sweet spot, looking at what's a project USP and the best entry price for the project USP. One thing that we noticed for this developer is the per floor jump. They will have premium loading on certain levels for no particular reason at all. And at the same time, For internal facing, it will definitely have a bit of premium. You're paying a 3 to 5%, I think is quite reasonable. Still, depending on what unit type you're looking at, hopefully you'll be able to get something at the best entry price for you and to maximize your profits in 4 to 8 years time. Secondly, the supply in the area matters more than the convenience in a mixed D or not. When I look at the profits between Woodleigh Residences and also Sengkang Grand, you see that there's vast difference of it, and it's just only a couple of MRT stops away. And then we see that Seaside Residences has been doing so well, even though there isn't much convenience in the area, it's only just an MRT stop. And why has Jadescape performed so well. So there are a couple of overlapping reasons to looking at how you make the best out of your investment. So it really boils down to entry price as well. So for 3 bedrooms, we want to also acknowledge that the exit time is important. So you want to ideally exit before your revised MOP, which is 2035. And the last point would be, based on affordability gap, the smaller 3 bedrooms would make more sense because you want to be able to exit to a larger pool of buyers in future. Follow my Instagram page and also scan the QR code on the right for you to join my Telegram channel, and I'll be feeding in more insights and information over there. And on the left would be my WhatsApp QR code, so if you like this video and you appreciate my sharing, you can also drop me a text. If you are looking for a bit more clarity on what I just shared, you can also drop me a text and check in with me. So the preview is coming up in a couple of weeks time. If you like to see the show flat, you can also reach out to me directly and I can bring you on a tour. So I've come to the end of my video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.